So Miss Diana Ross
was super ahead of its time. She did a medley of absolute classics, including a few covers.
Okay.
The stage had some cool features like this thing. There were a ridiculous number of dancers across the entire field.
Wow.
She did an outfit change for each and every single song. During Ain't No Mountain High Enough, she rose 3 stories in the air in this huge cape thing and literally flew away on a helicopter at the end of the performance.
Shut up.
What a woman.
One people dems. So this is a really overdue one, and I'm really sorry it's taking me so long. I keep forgetting it. Like it's my own fault, so I can only apologize for it. But I'm only human, guys. I'm only human. But this is for Eric. He's one of my Patreon members, and when I did the Super Bowl reactions and I did my own little kind of, as a countdown, I just did the last 10 years of Super Bowl reactions. He actually sent me through a link that was a bit of a, well, not a bit of, it is a complete collection of what is considered the best halftime shows, and it's ranked every single one of them. So this is actually brilliant because I was going to go back and look at some of the last 10 years and stuff, but this has put more into a nice, convenient 17-minute video. So I'm going to watch this and see whether or not I agree, because there's going to be some in here that I've never seen. So I mean, I'm looking at some of the thumbnails here. Some of the thumbnails here, and I can see Stevie Wonder's on there, Gloria Estefan, the Rolling Stone. So it'd be interesting to kind of see exactly what's on this list because I've got no idea. So I've not really been in a Super Bowl-y kind of headspace, so it's going to be interesting just to kind of go back to that and remind myself of what I saw last time. So let's waste no time again. Eric, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Eric.
The 2022 Super Bowl is rapidly approaching, and that gives me the chance to make a video ranking stuff. Dating back to 1967, there have been short concerts that occur during halftime at the NFL's biggest game of the year. However, it wasn't until the mid-90s that these performances started becoming the massive, iconic events that we know today. The Super Bowl halftime show used to just be a marching band playing an instrumental medley with a theme like Motown, or a salute to the big band era. When you go to the Wikipedia list for this topic, it helps specify the difference between these performers and headliners by putting the latter in bold letters. So while there technically have been halftime shows by New Kids on the Block and then different groups of A-list talent, I'm only interested in ranking the grand, greatest hits style concerts like what we have today, and not 5-minute commercials for Disney or Indiana Jones. We had headliners in 93, 96, 97, and then the tradition cemented itself from 2001 onward, so 24 total. The main characteristics that I'm going to be ranking based on are the quality of the performance itself, the cultural context of who was performing, we'll see if special guests were invited and whether or not there was chemistry between everyone involved, was the set list worthy of this monumental occasion, and did they utilize wild costumes, crazy stage design, mind-blowing choreography, and so on. Because it's the Super Bowl. I don't want a normal concert. In my extremely humble opinion, Maroon 5 showed us exactly how not to do a Super Bowl halftime show. After other musicians rejected the invitation, the safest possible option swooped in and delivered a pretty lackluster performance. While the band played some hits, I'd say Harder to Breathe and Girls Like You are definitely not Super Bowl worthy. Then, at a time where the internet was begging for SpongeBob and Sweet Victory to be played during the concert, I think they chose the worst possible option by teasing that it was gonna happen and then just having it be a transition to sicko mode instead. After that, going from She Will Be Loved to Big Boy's Kryptonite was like peanut butter and gasoline. Having him out there was a nod to Atlanta hosting that year, but all of this felt really unnatural and manufactured. In 1980, Blues Brothers was a hit musical comedy film. In 1982, John Belushi died. In 1997, the Blues Brothers inexplicably headlined the Super Bowl halftime show. Jim Belushi, John's brother,
he's just gone straight into the next one. Right, so just quickly, that's really interesting because I remember at the time thinking like, oh, out of all of the performances, it probably was one of the ones that I didn't enjoy the most. But I still didn't hate it. Like, I didn't hate it at all, and I still thought Adam Levine. It gave me some idea about just like his vocals and stuff, because I'm not necessarily someone that's listened to much of his vocals. However, I can kind of see what they meant about that kind of chemistry stuff, because I was a bit like, this seems a little bit random, and it threw me slightly to be like, oh, how is this link been made? I don't understand. I didn't really get the SpongeBob reference, so I don't know who was meant to come up and doing SpongeBob. But I mean, I love me some SpongeBob, so I would have been here for it. But I don't really understand that. But yeah, very interesting though that, and I don't know some of the songs that he mentioned. I mean, I do because I've heard them, but I can't recall which ones that should have been put in instead of. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that big a Maroon 5 fan to know. But okay, interesting take so far. I'm liking how he's put the categories and the criteria together as to how he's making these decisions. So it's very interesting already, but okay.
Who cannot really sing, was one of the main performers at the year's biggest concert. James Brown himself and ZZ Top came in for some short cameos, but it certainly wasn't enough to save whatever this was. I'm expecting a lot of boomer hate for this take, but the Rolling Stones are undoubtedly bottom 5 on this list.
Sorry, so just to finish on the Blues Brothers, I mean, I probably would need to re-watch the Blues Brothers. Like, there's certain songs that, when I was like in big band and stuff, we used to cover some, like, is it Green Sleeves? Or there's definitely some tunes from the Blues Brothers that we used to cover anyway. I don't know that much about them, but from just that little clip alone, it just looked a little bit clumsy, to be polite. Again, Rolling Stones are not necessarily a band that I'm that familiar with. I know of them and I know that they're huge, but I wouldn't say that I know that much about them, aside from the fact that they are big. So I'm sure that they did, when I did the one with Bruno Mars and they brought the Rolling Stones out, I thought that was sick, because I'm like, I know how big they are, but I don't know that much about them aside from that. So them headlining, I would imagine would be huge. So I'm interested to see why he's put them here.
When you're a band that's 700 years old, you're doing the Super Bowl, and you have as deep of a catalog as they do, just play the hits. Nobody wants to hear the new stuff. While there's nothing particularly bad about this set from The Who, it's just kind of nothing.
Hang on. So what he's saying is the Rolling Stones came out at 700 years old. So I mean, already out of order. And he's saying that they did new songs and didn't really do the songs that people wanted to hear. I mean, yeah, that's an interesting take. I can only imagine that the fact that they even said they were 700 years old, but the fact they've probably been in the game for a really long time, I can imagine that it might get a bit tired to keep doing the same old. It might be fresh for them also to do new things. So I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world to have. But again, I've not seen the performance, so I don't know. But interesting. And now I'm talking about The Who. Again, another band that I don't really know that much about.
They're very important in the grand scheme of rock and roll, but Who in 2010 was begging to have them as the stars of the show. Who, I ask you? Who. There are some lasers, the band sounds alright, but it's a very simple, rather boring collection of greatest hits. This is my last example making fun of your dad's favorite band for a little while, and again, I think Tom Petty...
So, before he goes into, I guess, Tom Petty, who is another, and it's a name that I've heard, but I didn't know, I wouldn't even know that he looked like that. So, The Who, I'm... not my era, I guess, but there are certain artists and things that wouldn't necessarily be my era, but would be my bag. I think from what you're saying there, again, the Who were like rock and roll legends. But then again, Tina Turner was a rock and roll legend, and that was definitely more my vibe. I don't know. I just don't really know much about the Who. From the little clips I'm seeing there, I mean, the light show looked kind of cool. The staging looked all right, and he needs to make up his mind, because at the one hand he's saying that, oh, you know, Rolling Stones didn't do the greatest hits that people wanted, and then on the other hand saying the Who, they're just doing the greatest hits, and it's like, well, what do you want, sir?
and the Heartbreakers were decent, but this is extremely forgettable when reading over this list as a whole. American Girl, I Won't Back Down, and Free Fallin' is a great sequence, but as I keep saying, we need more outlandish, once-in-a-lifetime craziness. Something that can't be replaced by typing in Tom Petty Live and clicking on any random performance.
Yeah, okay. I will agree with that to a degree, because I suppose without really watching these Super Bowl performances until I started watching them, I didn't realise how big a spectacle that they actually are. And it's really quite clear, actually, that they are massive. And I suppose that example there he gave of just being like, I don't want to be able just to click on one of these things and just be like, oh, here we are. That is kind of dry. I mean, you want something that is out of this world, that's never been seen before. It's your Super Bowl performance. So I do agree with that. Positioning wise, I don't know, because I don't know who else is in the list, but I do agree with his logic on that.
Big fan of these 3 albums by Justin Timberlake, and I think he's a very talented individual. This set list is pretty good.
Yes.
You get dancing and some unique utilization of
the crowd
all of the space in the stadium. But at the height of the Me Too movement and a lot of changes happening in the cultural zeitgeist, why spotlight the guy that essentially ruined Janet Jackson's career at a previous Super Bowl halftime show? Regardless of whether or not you believe any conspiracy theories about it being planned or it wasn't planned, who you want to blame, etc., this woman was blacklisted from the industry because of this event, and Justin just kept getting bigger and bigger. So kinda tone deaf to bring him back, especially at that time. It's an average performance with bad timing. Let's move on. Shania Twain.
Okay, right. So, do you know what? That's a really interesting point. And maybe because it's been such a while, because I really enjoyed his performance, and I think because, again, I am a Justin Timberlake fan, like I've been a fan for a long time, I guess I didn't really take the time to appreciate just how big an impact he had on Janet Jackson's career. And since that point, because I saw a few comments and my reaction being like, I don't watch him, like I'm not interested in him, and and I was a bit like, oh, is this still like a thing? And then seeing that actually, like he just commented in that video, that she was blackballed, and you just think, well, actually, I don't even like that term, by the way. Like, can we come up with a better term? Blackballed. Like, there's no other colour that we can ball somebody. But the fact that she didn't get work on the, and people can say it's conspiracies and whatever, but the way that thing was set up, like, to me, and again, I'm just a lay person, just with eyes looking at the screen. I ain't done any kind of research into it. Just looking at what I saw, the way that it was ripped, or it looked like it was meant to come away, like it was it looked very precise. And as well, if she wasn't meant to come away, why would she have had like a thing covering a thing? Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? Don't get demonetized. So for me, I kind of felt like it was a joint exercise about, we're going to do this thing, it's going to be quite shocking, but she was the only one that got all the beef about it. I don't know about that. So yeah, I think that's a fair point. So initially when he put him up there, I was like, what are you doing? Like, it sounded quite cool, but I suppose he did say you'd be taking into context the time, and I didn't realise at that was the same time as the Me Too movement and stuff. So that is a really, really good point. No offense, Justin, but I guess, yeah, why were you there at that? Then?
Wayne doing Man, I Feel Like a Woman, followed by Gwen Stefani of No Doubt doing Just a Girl, and then special guest Sting doing Message in a Bottle with Gwen. I'm not against any of this per se, it's just strange. And again, the whole thing is pretty boring. A lot of these lower tier entries don't fully make it a show, but points to them for trying an interesting combination of people. Bruno Mars is a
So before he gets back into that, he's put Bruno Mars at number, like, wherever that is. That's, I don't know about that. Like, that's I don't know about that. But the Gwen Stefani, Shania Twain, let's call him Sting, kind of mashup. I'd be interested to hear how it all sounds. I don't think that, I mean, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, Just to, I mean, I don't think, I don't, unless the songs are dry, unless the songs are trash, which, I mean, Man I Feel Like a Woman is I mean, that's like a classic. It's like I would class it as a cheesy classic, to be honest. But, like, it's one that's really well known. Gwen Stefani, no doubt, she's huge as well. And Sting, like, people love a bit of Sting, so again, I'd need to watch the performance to understand, but that's interesting that that's just kind of been binned off.
Fantastic performer. He's a super talented guy, and there's no doubting that. But I think he got this gig a few years too early. Looking at his set list of Billionaire, Locked Out of Heaven, Treasure, Runaway Baby, and Just the Way You Are, I don't quite see that as Super Bowl status. Then, especially in comparison to the past few performers before him in 2012, 2013, and then after him in 2015, all of those people pushed the boundaries with their sets and special guests, where Bruno had the Chili Peppers come on and jump around for a couple minutes, and it did not do much for me. I don't really know how to rank U2's performance.
So they ranked him at number 17. Okay, I am going to disagree with that, like, because for me, his whole set that he did was so sick. The energy from start to finish with the vocals. Let's not forget that as much as this is like a stellar performance and we want all the crazy and all that kind of stuff, we still need to hear people sing and hear them sing well. So to have that kind of energy where you're doing the dancing, you're doing the instrument playing, you're doing, and then you're doing the singing on top of that, and all of the singing sounding sick. Nah, sorry. We need to put more respect on Bruno Mars, and I want to see who you got higher now. Because, I mean, U2, I definitely haven't seen this one, but I can't imagine that this was better than Bruno Mars. So let's see.
For this video. This was essentially the 9/11 tribute show, so I'm obviously not gonna fault them for lacking the fun stuff. But here's my quick little hot take. U2 are this internationally known band. Bono is a big activist guy, and they did a good job. But wouldn't it have been more powerful to have Americans doing a 9/11 tribute? Is that just me? Maybe people from New York? I don't know. The Black Eyed Peas could have been...
I mean, that is a very good point. Do you know what I mean? That's a very good point. And I feel as though, you know, like you said, the point there about the context and stuff is important. So I can... It's until I know where everyone else is at and where his positioning went, it's hard to really say whether or not I agree with the positioning he's put. Because, again, at that time, that was such a... I mean, that was a stop the world moment. Do you know what I mean? So, okay... That's the Black Eyed Peas.
Last place on this list, and they could have been first place on this list. They looked ridiculous, they take themselves way more seriously than they should, they probably deserve prison time for making us watch Fergie and Slash do Sweet Child of Mine, and Usher and will.i.am doing OMG is the opposite of timeless, but at the same time, they understood the potential of how grand this should be. I Got a Feeling, Boom Boom Pow, Pump It, Let's Get It Started, Where Is the Love and the Time, that works for the halftime show being one big party. And truly, they really laid the groundwork for making this the spectacle that it is today. Paul McCartney was the very safe...
Okay. So, I mean, I want to watch that now. I do want to watch that. I mean, this guy is funny, man. He's actually quite jokes about Fergie, my man, and Sweet Child of Mine. Okay, and I mean, he said that the duet between Usher and will.i.am apparently was the opposite of timeless. Okay, like I'm willing to hear you out on that once until I've seen it. But I suppose even with that critique, he's still willing to say that they still understood the assignment. So it looked like a really grandiose show. Lots of stuff going on, lots of lighting. So yeah, that's one I definitely wanna go back and watch. Paul McCartney. Okay.
Follow-up to one of the most controversial moments in TV history. And while I've complained about a bunch of the other old white guys being boring, it's Paul McCartney. Plus, he played versions of Drive My Car, Get Back, Live and Let Die, and Hey Jude that were more suited for a stadium show of this magnitude than the original recordings. It wasn't much, but I think it was enough. During my research, I've seen tons...
Again, I would probably, as someone that doesn't really, I know Hey Jude, when you're looking so sad, like, you know, and Live and Let Die. Is that him? Did he do that song? I don't know why I thought that song was like a Bond tune. Maybe it is, or maybe it's still his song. I don't know, but very interesting. So I think I will watch that Paul McCartney one actually. And it is killing me with this another old white guy. But it's good.
I think it was enough. During my research, I've seen tons of articles saying that Aerosmith and NSYNC put on one of the best halftime shows of all time.
Wow.
I think it's entertaining, but I slightly disagree. From the pre-recorded sketch with Ben Stiller to Bye Bye Bye, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, and It's Gonna Be Me, things were going very well. The Kings of Rock and Pop theme was shining. I love how much they all seem to really go for it. But what happened next felt like the train went off the tracks. Walk This Way with Aerosmith, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Mary J. Blige, and Nelly was incomprehensible. All the credit to them for fully committing to it, but I don't think it landed. So far, the only Super Bowl halftime show
Sorry, that is crazy. I definitely want to watch that. I mean, it just kept listing off the names. So not only got Aerosmith and NSYNC as the Kings of Rock and Pop, which I just love, like the self-titled titles. That's sick. Okay, cool. Doing their bits, and he said that with Ben Stiller and there being like a funny bit as well, so that's already going to be quite entertaining. Then they kind of do a mashup together where they bring out Britney Spears, Nelly, Mary J. Blige. I mean, he says incomprehensible, but I'm gonna watch it and see. And now he's talking about The Weeknd, which I really liked this.
Weeknd did well, but there could have been more. While I'm a big, huge, enormous fan of this setlist personally, it's hard to say that Call Out My Name, Save Your Tears, and House of Balloons are as universal as many of the songs that I've talked about so far. This set design rules, the Hall of Mirrors was pretty iconic, and all of these synchronized dancers looked absolutely striking together, but as a whole, we've seen better. Bruce Springsteen and
I mean, I feel like this guy's really, really critical. Like, because, but then again, you've seen them all to know. So it's difficult for me to really even have a comment because I've only seen 10 years of performances. But I would have definitely put The Weeknd up there at the 10 that I saw as one of the better ones. Like, particularly knowing that it was during restrictions for COVID. Visually, it was so striking, and like I say, his vocal, bearing in mind I never really watched him live either, it really surprised me how much I liked him, not just in a recording way, but in an actual, I would go and watch him perform now, where I didn't think I would think that before. I'd be like, I like his music and I listen to it on the radio or on Spotify or whatever, but I wouldn't necessarily go and see him, because I'm like, well, what's he going to do? Like, a lot of that's got to be studio work, do you know what I mean? But actually, live, he's a sick performer. It's a sick performance, so I don't know about that one, bruv.
E Street Band is the top tier example of just a normal band playing a simple concert with not a whole lot of theatrics, but they went so hard doing so that it was still great. When you have the boss screaming into the camera that you need to step back from the guacamole dip and put those chicken fingers down, I no longer feel the need for background dancers and special guests. Entering the top 10, we have this...
So, I think then that one's definitely more of a, if you're already a fan, because I don't really know too much about Bruce Springsteen or the E Street Band, and I don't know whether... Again, I'd have to watch it and see, but they haven't entered on my radar personally. I'm not saying that means anything because, again, I'm only just one person on the planet, right? And I'm sure that they are well, I'm not sure. I'm certain they are huge because I'm not obviously not of Bruce Springsteen, but I don't know. I wouldn't be able to give you a Bruce Springsteen song off the top of my head. Just the honest truth. So for you to say that actually there is no, bells and whistles needed and you can just be a band. Surely there are other bands that would have felt the exact same way about who they are and their repertoire and who they mean to other people. Bruce Springsteen, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't have put... Well, again, I've not seen it, so okay. I'm going to hold my comment until I've seen it.
insane mishmash of Jessica Simpson, Janet Jackson, P. Diddy, Nelly, Kid Rock, and Justin Timberlake. And yes, if you're counting, isn't it crazy that he's done this 3 times?
Yeah.
What happened at the end of this performance and the damage it caused is terrible, but the first 11 minutes are somewhat remarkable in my opinion. This is pure and utter American indulgence. Everything about it, it's just so much, and I think it succeeds in its maximalism. From Jessica Simpson shrieking at the top of her lungs in a band uniform, to the band playing The Way You Move by Outkast, to Janet killing it with her dancers, Diddy moving on a platform in this coat, cheerleaders singing, "Hey Diddy, you're so fine, you blow my mind, hey Diddy," and transitioning
hey,
it into, "Hey Nelly, you're so fine." He comes out in whatever this is to do Hot in Here, into Mo Money, Mo Problems, and then this f***ing guy comes out, and you know how it all ends. I thought the other combination of people was messy in a bad way, but this is messy in the best way possible. Coldplay has a few bangers, and their halftime show is worth the watch.
Okay, so I don't even recall that. I think that scene, I just thought it was Justin and Janet. I didn't even realise there were other people there. I need to watch that. I need to watch all of that. It did make me laugh with the Jessica Simpson shrieking line. Like, there's so much that goes into her face when she's singing. Like, it's so, there's a lot. So I'll be interested to see that. And I love the kind of mix between like Nelly and P. Diddy. Be very keen to see that. And in fact, just all of it, just all of that. I like to see how it all fits together. I like the fact that those songs, "Hey Diddy, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Diddy, hey Diddy," and then that goes into more Money, More Problems. It's one of my favorite songs. I love that tune. Okay. Oh, the Coldplay. Now, I think I know what I was gonna say here, but
is worth the watch. But it's worth the watch because of Beyonce showing up and doing formation with a team of dancers dressed as Black Panthers. P.S. Remember when she was falling down, but it turned into the coolest, most effortless recovery of all time? As someone who doesn't regularly listen to Shakira or...
So, yeah, I think... he didn't even call out Bruno Mars there, but I think is a slight to Bruno, because realistically, they both showed up and they both delivered. The reason that, and I'm saying that as you already know, like, behave for life. But even with that, Bruno did his thing. He did his thing on that. Like, he was so good. And that little dance off that they had and whatever, like, that made it. Again, feel real bad for Chris Martin, because I'm sure he's a really lovely guy as well. I know he's like friends with Beyonce and stuff. And although he did make some comment about someone being like the best singer on the planet, and it wasn't Beyonce. Like, I'm not saying it had to be, but I mean, you've had her on your tracks and stuff. And I'm just like, well, okay. Anyway, but yeah, so I think you need to give Bruno a bit more flowers here, because to the best of my knowledge, Bruno's only appeared when he headlined himself, and also then. So to kind of not even mention the fact that he was on that, I think is a bit of a slight. But the fact that, yeah, Beyonce did do Formation, especially when, you know, that was about a lot of, you know, police brutality in America and stuff, and obviously there's a lot of people, you know, she got a lot of backlash about doing that as well. So I do understand why he made that point. But yeah, come on, man, where's the love for Bruno? Everybody loves Bruno, no. No, we don't talk about. Oh, actually, we don't talk about.
Jennifer Lopez, or their special guests Bad Bunny and J Balvin. This is arguably the most fun I've ever had watching a halftime show. The energy here is unparalleled amongst any of these performances. They might as well be professional athletes with how much they were dancing and moving around. The songs that I did know were legendary throwbacks, and I still had a great time watching the stuff that I was unfamiliar with too.
Yeah.
And at one point, J-Lo was on an Empire State Building stripper pole. Good stuff. Diana Ross's halftime.
Alright, so that I can concur to that. I can concur to that. There was so much that went into it, and again, as someone that didn't really you know, I know about J-Lo and I know about Shakira, but I wouldn't say that like I'm the biggest fans of either. But actually, after watching that, I did become a bigger fan of them both, because I'm like, actually, do you know what? When you stop and you deep it, these guys have got a catalogue of songs, number one, but the performance that they put, the performance that they put on as well was just, it was just sick. The synchronicity, the electricness, that's probably not even a word, but the it was so vibey and vivacious, and like all the things he said in that, I completely concur with. Like the energy levels were so high in both of them. I did really enjoy it. I did. So yeah, he's right. He's right on that one. So Miss Diana Ross
was super ahead of its time. She did a medley of absolute classics, including a few covers.
Okay.
The stage had some cool features like this thing. There were a ridiculous number of dancers across the entire field.
Wow.
She did an outfit change for each and every single song. During Ain't No Mountain High Enough, she rose 3 stories in the air in this huge cape thing and literally flew away on a helicopter at the end of the performance.
Shut up.
What a woman. Michael Jackson...
Go on, sorry. That list just did not stop. How is that not number 1 then? There cannot be someone that's... I mean, again, as much as I love Beyonce, like, you know, that 3-story costume changes... literally flew off in a helicopter as well. I mean, I did see that on something. Where did I see that on? I saw it on something that she did. That there was definitely a helicopter flying off thing. But all of that just put together, like diva of the day. Come on, man. Yes, Miss Rouse.
Was the first ever headliner for the Super Bowl halftime show.
Of course he was.
And what's probably the single craziest moment in the history of these things is that he began his set by just standing there for like a minute and a half. Just standing. And everybody is going buck wild the entire time. Billie Jean and Black or White went hard, but I Wish We Are the World and Heal the World could have been replaced by a countless number of his 10 out of 10 perfect songs that would have made for a more entertaining, enjoyable performance. Lady Gaga...
But you know what though? In saying that, those are both songs that, I mean, again, how do you even... if I asked you now, what's your favourite Michael Jackson song? You probably would have one, or you might have one, but at the same point, absolutely understandable if you didn't, because he's such a huge... How do you pick a favourite one when there's so many songs for different reasons, for different times, for different vibes, for different points of your life? Like, I mean, I always used to say that PYC is my favourite Michael Jackson song, but then I'm like, well, actually, but that ignores things like Black and White, ignores things like Human Nature, ignores things like, what was that? There was one that I found out about just the other day. I can't remember what that was, but you see what I'm saying? So like, I think everyone's gonna have certain songs they would want to hear from Michael Jackson or any of these artists. So I think that's just a personal thing. But also as well, those songs about healing the world and, you know, those are great messages when you know that the world's focus is on you and everything is like not tickety boo. I can understand why you pick those songs. Maybe they don't, you know, in terms of all their, you know, fire flames and helicopter leaving the stadium, maybe it doesn't do all of that, but I think, you know, great message. And Lady Gaga, now this did shock me.
Beginning her concert with patriotic songs while on the roof of the stadium, and then jumping down and immediately doing poker face, that's history right there.
Yes.
I have no issues with this entire performance whatsoever,
yeah.
But the thing is, you kind of expect this level of showmanship from her anyway.
Yeah.
So her doing the stuff that you wish everybody else would do seems basic for her. Like, with her antics over the years, I almost expected her to be even crazier at the Super Bowl. Remember when I was talking about pure excess and indulgence before? Madonna's halftime show...
Okay, so if we're going into Madonna... yeah, really much to add about the Lady Gaga one. And she gagged me when she dropped from the song, because I was like, that can't be real. They must have done something to, you know, like, it's like when the Queen jumped out of the parachute, jumped out of the plane to do the whole 007 thing for the Jubilee. And it's like, you didn't do that, did you? So I just thought maybe there was a way in which they'd, I don't know, filmed it to make it look like she did, but really she didn't. But she clearly did. She clearly did, man. So, wow, amazing. So yeah, I love that performance as well. I thought it was really good.
is the camp version of that. Just singling out the performance of Vogue that kicks everything off, that alone was a better show than a majority of this list. But Madonna isn't Madonna if it isn't a beautiful disaster, so throw in a gospel choir, a dude on a slackline, collaborations with LMFAO, Nicki Minaj and MIA, CeeLo Green dressed up like this, and don't forget, world peace for some reason. I'm not typically gonna die on the hill defending Katy Perry.
Okay, so I might need to watch that Madonna one as well then. I don't really give that much time to Madonna. And I don't know why. I know that she's huge. I know she's huge. I know she is. And there are some songs of hers that I like. Like, life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. That's a tune. Like, I love that song. And Frozen. Your heart's not open. Like, tune. And music makes the people come together. Hey, hey. Music makes the bourgeoisie. I'm a rebel. Music was a tune. So there are definitely some tunes that she's got there. And obviously Vogue. Let your body move to the music. I don't know. I don't know whether some of her like external antics are the ones that make me just go, I'm just not really interested. But I will watch that. I will watch that. And it seems like there's a myriad of people that come on the stage as well. So, and she looks like, I don't know, She-Ra or something. Like, so, okay, alright, I'll watch that. The Katy Perry one, again, this did pleasantly surprise me. Because I'm not the biggest Katy Perry fan, really. But I was like, wow, she did that thing.
But her Super Bowl halftime show is an all-time great, no question about it. The only song I'm not a fan of during the setlist is Roar, but she came in singing it on a giant animatronic lion puppet thing. And then from then on, it's banger after banger. Dark Horse, I Kissed a Girl, Teenage Dream, California Girls, and closing with Firework is phenomenal. But also, she brought back Missy Elliott as her surprise guest.
That was amazing.
She hadn't been in the public eye for years. Then we see Get Your Freak On, Work It, and Lose Control. That's glorious. Captivating stage design? Check. Cameos that end up working well even if you wouldn't think of them? Check. The perfect amount of goofy stuff mixed in with a high-quality performance? Check. Good for Katy Perry. I'm not gonna put this lightly.
You know what? Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I will give that, because actually, when you deep it like that, and I think I said the same thing. Like, I was really, really, really surprised by how much I enjoyed that performance, because she really did her thing. And again, for me, it's not just about the performance as well. It's the vocals. As a reactor, I'm looking, especially when it comes to music, the vocals I'm listening for. If you're a superstar, anyway. And she did. She absolutely delivered it. And also again with the cameos, it just seemed to work. Her and Lenny Kravitz worked. I didn't realise that Missy had been out of the spotlight for such a long time during that performance. So that was really good then as well. Yeah, okay. Okay. And I can already see who... Okay, Miss Knowles. Mrs. Carter. Say hey, Miss Carter.
Beyonce is the greatest performer of this generation. Her stage presence, her dancing...
Just in case you missed what he said. Just in case you missed what he said.
Her vocals going non-stop for 12 minutes straight. It's the kind of thing that takes your breath away and leaves you speechless. This is a different level than everything we've talked about so far. It's not even in the same category. Run the World, Love on Top, Crazy in Love, End of Time, Baby Boy, and then, excuse me, a Destiny's Child reunion at the Super Bowl for Bootylicious, Independent Women, and Single Ladies, and then closing it out with Halo. This is perfect, and I'm genuinely getting chills at the mere thought of it. And what's better than perfect? Prince.
So I love the fact, because I didn't want to see where she features. I'm gonna lie, I didn't want to say nothing. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to say nothing. Don't be biased about it. So I didn't want to see where she features. The fact that she's number 2, and to what I can see is Prince. I'm about it. Listen, this performance, yeah, like, hands down, for me, out of all of them, will always be number one. Because I'm just like, hey, who does all of that vocally with the dancing, or the staging, the presentation, the dances, all of it. I'm like, you just, what can I say? Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't need to. He said it all. He said it all.
Is better than perfect. There was no doubt in anybody's mind that this was gonna be good. He's one of the best musicians ever, has style and charisma bursting out of him, plenty of hits, unreal guitar chops, and so on, but I don't think anyone could have predicted what we ended up getting. The man, the myth, the legend, standing on his own symbol, beginning with We Will Rock You, then doing this musical journey of a few of his classics, covering Proud Mary, throwing in 1999, then All Along the Watchtower, and a Foo Fighters track. But the greatest Super Bowl halftime moments of all time, Prince's performance of Purple Rain while it is downpouring onto him. It's awe-inspiring, monumental, it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. It's godlike. Soon we'll see how this year's group measures up to the rest, but in the meantime, comment down below with your favorites, what did I get wrong, and so on. Thanks for watching. Hey, thank you for watching that video. Be sure to check out this merch collab that I helped design.
Right, okay, cool. Well, first and foremost, Alpha Media, like, thank you very much for the video, man. Like, it was cool to react to your stuff. In the main, like, I feel like, before we get into that, sorry, Prince is someone that I feel as though I haven't delved as, well, it's one of those, it's a bit like, if you go to a party, and so I'm not really into football, and it goes straight over my head. Like, so when I go to a party and people talking about, oh, thing he just transferred to blah, 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 but did you see what he did last night, like, you could literally be talking Matrix speak to me, like, I don't. So, I'm not really part of the conversation. That's okay, like, there are other things to talk about. But when it comes to Prince, I kind of feel like the same kind of thing. I feel like there are certain things that I know about Prince, and there's certain songs that I'm aware of, but I don't think I have the same connection to Prince as everyone else does. So I think one of the things I'm going to do on this channel, which is the whole point of reacting to stuff, right, is I'm gonna delve a bit deeper into some Prince. So actually, if there are any recommendations, obviously I know Purple Rain and Keys, and stuff, but there's probably so many different songs on so many different albums I'm just so unaware of. So if anyone can help, I mean, I think the Super Bowl performance will be a good start, so I'm going to watch that. But if there's anything else that people can recommend, then absolutely do that. How is this 40 minutes? This has been 40 minutes for us, I guess, with commentary. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think all of that was a brilliant little watch actually, and it has saved me kind of going too far back on things when I can actually just, because there are certain ones which I'm probably just not going to watch. Like, am I seriously going to sit down and watch the Who's performance? I'm not really compelled to, and I'll tell you the reason why is because I feel as though that if it was so sick, it would have been higher in that list, number one, and it wasn't really. And you know, the way that this guy's talking, he knows of the Who already, so I'm like, well, you're already kind of a little bit of a fan of that type of genre of music, and they still don't really rank high. Well, I'm probably not going to enjoy it, so I'm probably not. Well, I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely not on my burning list to go and watch, but there definitely will be some ones that I do. So I want to watch. I want to watch the Paul McCartney one. I want to watch the Madonna one. I want to watch the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson, Jessica Simpson, melee of people, Mary J. Blige. I want to watch that one. Obviously Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Black Eyed Peas and Usher, Aerosmith and NSYNC. I want to watch that one as well. I don't think there were any other early ones that you mentioned. Having the Paul McCartney one. I think that might be it, really. I think there could be some more that I missed. But anyway, but those are some of the ones that I definitely want to watch. I think, you know, he put Beyonce at number 2. So for me, I'm alright with the rest of the list. I mean, I have not seen everyone else. But as long as she featured up there, and it's okay to lose to Prince, because I know what legend he is. So it's alright. So for me, the list still stands. But yeah, I definitely need to go back and watch some of the ones and just see what I think of some of those. But yeah, that was a great little compilation. I'd love to know what other people thought of that actually. And I love the way that he put the video together. A nice little backstory about how Halftime has even come to be what it is today. Like the difference between the performers and the headliners, and you know the kind of criterion and stuff that he put into it in terms of what he's looking for. As I said, I think his justification for most of them I think was fair. Some of them I thought was a little harsh, but I think on the main, I think you again, you put me on to number 2, so I'm happy. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, then do drop me a like and subscribe. And I've also got a Patreon as well, so if you want to head over there and show any kind of love, that would be fantastic. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.